Good. How are you, Bonnie?
I'm good. Nice to see you. How are things going? How was your weekend?
It was great. I'm working in Winnipeg right now, and my parents are here, so they're they're hiding in the basement right now.
Well, that's okay. Well, good. I hope your mom had a good Mother's Day.
She did. Yeah, we had a great day. It's great having them here.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, listen, I was just really blown away by Sweetland. I honestly, it's so touching. It's so, oh my God, there's so many great elements to it. And I know that you were a big fan of the book. Tell me when you first read that book. Never mind the film. We'll talk about that in a second. What kind of struck you about this story and Michael's writing?
Well, I actually first gave the book to my mom, probably somewhere around 2016, 2015, 2016. And she read it first and she said, wow, I really think you should definitely read this book. And so I took her copy afterwards, and I think before I ever met Christian, the director, I think
Yeah.
I'd read it 6 times. I'm not exaggerating, probably 6 times. I like to call myself a crummy nerd and scholar. I've read, I think, everything that he's written several times. He's my
Yeah.
favorite author. And I grew up in Outport, Newfoundland. So
Yeah.
there was something about, not something, basically everything about Sweetland that just felt so like it was just speaking to something so ingrained in me, something so subconscious and not so subconscious as well, but just it just I just kind of, it was like a novel that just washed over me. And the
Right.
more that I read it, the more that it kind of like settled itself into my bones, you know?
Wow. And then you hook up with Christian Sparks, who I tell you, I mean, that man he's got a big career ahead of him. He's such a great director.
Yeah.
But it was kind of serendipitous how that happened. So tell me a little bit how you guys connected and then you got into the film.
Yes, yes. I met Christian Sparks at the Whistler Film Festival. I was there doing the writing program, the Screenwriters Lab, which was an absolutely fantastic experience. And there's 2 phases, and the second phase is actually during the festival, which is so exciting. And I was sort of waiting to speak to one of the mentors, like binder under my arm, just like, like a school girl, just kind of
Right.
waiting to, which is, it was so immersive and great. And Christian walked up to me and he said, hey, are you Sara Canning? And the really wonderful thing about that meeting was that he wasn't approaching me to say, I've seen you in something. He said, I've read a short film that you wrote,
Wow.
which is a very personal, like a sort of a family story that I've turned into a short film that I still want to direct and make back home in Newfoundland. But
Yeah.
it was really exciting for me, especially being there doing the Screenwriters Lab, for him to approach me and say, I really recognize something in your writing. He said, you really understand Outport, Newfoundland, and there's like a quality in your writing that he said I
Mm.
really responded to, and that was thrilling for me. So then I go to watch the film that they had there that year, which was Hammer, which is
Yeah.
an excellent film.
Yeah.
And during during their Q&A, someone said, so what are you guys up to next? And he mentioned having the rights to Sweetland, and I audibly gasped. And I think
Yeah.
yeah, I was complimenting them on how great their film was afterwards. And he was like, was that you in the crowd who gasped? And I was like, yes. So I was just so excited because I had even checked into the rights, if the rights were available for the book beforehand. So
Wow.
yeah, so I just, I joked to him, like, you got to let me come to set and bake muffins or something. I don't know. It's just like,
It
I
just all
love this.
worked. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, probably about year and a half later, I ended up auditioning for him a few times, and it worked out. I think I can earnestly say it's the most magical thing that's happened in my working life for sure.
Amazing. What connected you to Clara? I mean, here they, these people on this remote island, also it reminded me a lot of of Christian's other film, The King Tide, too, because the
Mhm.
where it's set and how beautiful, even though it's remote and it seems, it's just beautiful location, first of all. But I wanted to
Mm.
know, because the story is so heart-wrenching. These people are basically being, get off this island, go, we're going to give you money. But obviously, as we'll talk in a second, the lead character, he can't, they can't let go. There's reasons, whatever, but it doesn't matter. Like, you've been there your whole life. Like, I'm not giving up my home. Like, you can't force me to leave. It's a very interesting situation. Clara
Yeah.
just to me seems like somebody, like, I don't know what connected you to her, because it's heart-wrenching watching her too, obviously.
Yes, yes. I think what is so special about Clara as a character is that there's something beyond her like regional pride, which I think is very strong in Newfoundland. There's something that is actually pulling her, and that is, of course, her son, Jesse.
Yeah.
And as we sort of, even though we don't delve into where on the spectrum he sits as a character, we get the sense that there is more opportunity for him beyond this place. And of
Absolutely.
course,
Yeah.
Sweetland argues this is the best place for him. This is, where he can grow up and be checking rabbit snares with me and rabbit slips and being at peace. And I think what's so awesome about getting to play Clara is that, my family moved away from Newfoundland when I believe I was 11 or 12.
Mm.
And I have spent a lot of time away, but it still absolutely feels like home to me.
Right. Right.
Uh, I find it very hard to leave when I visit. And there's something I think like that is very universal to almost all Newfoundlanders about like such a tie to that place, but also this pull of like, especially, it's great to see um new opportunities arising all over the island. And,
Of
and
course.
I know people who've moved back to Newfoundland, like good friends of mine, which is really exciting. But I think it's quite a, not just for Newfoundland, but I think Canadians, and I hope well beyond Canada, will understand that story about, but this is what we know, and
Mm.
this is important to us in these ways. But I
Right.
think what's so specific to this resettlement story is, as is so well portrayed through the Sweetland character, through
Mm.
Moses, is like it really feels like being wrenched away
Exactly.
from a way of life.
Yeah.
And I think I just relate to Clara's kind of conflict, but going, I need to care for my son. So I need, and she, in the book, like she'd been away as a younger person and had moved back.
Mm.
And I just really identify with that, I think, because part of me wants to be there all the time.
Right. Yeah. I totally get it. There's no question. And as you grow older too, you become so you're complacent, you're settled. Like, how can I start when I'm in my 60s, 70s, or whatever it is, a whole new life, a whole new, like, it's scary. Never mind, it just brings up so many topics to talk about when you watch this movie, really. Was it
Mhm.
easy for you to kind of slip back into the accent? Because you did leave as a young girl, right? So you've been away for a while.
Yes, yeah, I think it is easy for me because if I speak to anyone from Newfoundland, I speak to them with my Newfoundland accent. And then,
Yeah.
as a young actor in Vancouver, all the Canadianisms were sort of beaten out of us too, so it's like my dialect, I don't know where my resting dialect even sits anymore, so
Yeah.
it was flip back in. And in fact, Christian kind of had me take a swing at the role without too strong of an accent too. He was just sort of testing like where does this
Yeah.
character sit on the, like,
Yeah.
because there are some very strong dialects in the film. It was so fun for me to listen to Larry Berry, who's in the film, Lawrence Berry, because
Yeah.
he's from the sort of, he's from an hour away from where I grew up, and there are so many dialects all over the island, and I go, oh yeah, that's very familiar to me. But it's good. It's like a good, strong Newfoundland dialect.
Absolutely. We need to take a minute to talk about Mark Lewis Jones. My God, I, I don't even know what to say. He is riveting in this. What was it?
Mhm.
And you look at that guy, what a veteran. You look at his resume and what he's done. And you go, I know I've seen that guy in this and that and this and that. And I'm like, I mean, I just watched Baby Reindeer a few weeks ago and I was like, oh my God, he's in that too. Like, you know what I mean? What
He's
was
in
it like
everything.
to work opposite him? He just seems so perfect for this part.
I mean, I feel like he's perfect for everything. Like, really, I think the second that Mark Lewis Jones steps into a role, everyone goes, "Oh, you were born to play this role." And I go, oh, "Okay, so he's just
Yeah.
born to play everything." He is such a beautiful actor and person. And when I watched the film, I've seen it a couple of times, maybe a few times now, and I like viscerally miss him when
Mm.
I watch it, because he's just such a presence and such a generous person and actor. And I think he like really dove into what it took to play this character. Like it's so great to watch him. We affectionately called it Bayman boot camp, that he went through in order to play
Yeah.
this role. And I watched that scene where he falls. I'm not spoiling anything, but the moment when he
Yeah.
falls and you go,
Yeah.
"Oh, that
Yeah.
really happened." And then he
Yeah.
just like, I just sort of look at that moment and I go, "Oh, there's Mark. There's Mark just being so committed in every moment." And I could watch him. It's the same way I feel about reading the book. Like, I could read about Moses Sweetland, just kind of Moses Sweetland against the world, and I could watch Mark do that
Yeah.
for 6 weeks, I think.
I can imagine. Yeah, I agree with you. He's just, wow, he's really, really is a standout. You have been a very busy lady. I mean, just the week before the release of this, we had the Burning season two. Completely different. Oh my goodness. What was it like to work on something like that with Jonas and just wow, crazy.
Yeah, I know. And we did that basically a year, right? We shot that a year after Sweetland. So I've had a very fortunate couple of years in terms of shooting in like just beautiful remote parts of Canada. That's my
Yeah.
favorite way to work. And we had so much fun making the Burning season. I think this is the first time this has happened to me, to have two films come out in theaters, and Canadian films coming out in theaters at the same time.
Yeah.
And I feel a little bit like, what's going on? It's
That's
really
great.
fun. Yeah, but very different film, very different character. And I just feel so lucky that that's been my reality. But we had an incredible time. Like, I could have stayed tucked away in the woods in northern Ontario for 6 months and done that. The actors were
Yeah.
so wonderful. Sean Garrity, our
Oh,
director. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, great team on that. Obviously you've gone off and you've done so much great stuff in your career, big series and things like that. But clearly it just shows that doing stuff in Canada is still very close to your heart. Am I right about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think becoming even more so as I get older, as we all get older. I mean, in great independent film has always been, I think, one of the biggest driving forces for me. But the things that I've gotten to do in the last few years, like I was saying, the Burning season as well as Sweetland
Mm.
were such, from the second that I read the Burning season script as well, I just thought, well, I really, let me do this. I really want to do this. And then you have to kind of go through the process of like some Buddhist detachment and, like, I might get this, I might not. And I think it's just speaking volumes about like, not just the talent that we have in Canada, but people who are like really willing to dig into,
Mm.
it's not all Canadiana. It's not all like there are some directors and writers and actors and whole teams that are sort of like, let's like dig into maybe that dark corner over there, or this sort of thing that
Yeah.
people might not agree with right away. Like with the Burning season, I think that film is very like, people kind of start watching it and go, oh, who are these people? And have to kind of get to the heart of the secret of the film. And I'm
For
I'm
sure.
excited that we're making films like this.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's great to see you in all of these things. I know, like you say, you're working in Winnipeg now. You're just nonstop, which is fantastic for us. So thank you for that. I really appreciate your time today, Sarah. Like you are just so good and in this, and I can't stop thinking about this movie. It really was beautiful. So thank you for your time to talk about it. I really appreciate it.
I'm so glad. Thank you. It's great chatting with you.
Yeah, nice chatting to you. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Thank you. You
Okay,
too.
take
See you
care. Bye
soon.
bye. Bye.
Bye.